Okay, I'm ready to start. Well, hello again. I hope your day is going good, and I know mine is. Every day we have something to do, so it's always good that we have that, I guess. But have you ever asked yourself, though, like we're doing all this stuff and get to this point and you wonder what's next? Like, what's next? And it seems like that. What's next? I'm not sure what's next. I can't see the future. I just know that we're on a journey. It's like we're all going down a river together, and we're all flowing together, and we're coming to a bend. And there's a bend in the river, and we don't know what's next. We don't know what's around the corner. None of us have taken this river before. So it's going to be interesting to see what's next. But I was going to say, and I was reflecting a bit here. Now I'm going to have a drink of coffee, and I'm going to pause it just for a second here. Yeah. So I was going to say that when I started this journey, when I got into the boat, and that was it's not long ago, not even 2 years. Now, if you look at my website, it says 2012 on my YouTube channel. That's when I left the religion. I started a YouTube channel because I needed it for business. And then we didn't use it. But then one day we needed it. We got on there, or I got on there, and I felt like I wanted to talk to the governing body. So if you looked at my first couple of videos, that was what that was all about. A lot of confusion, a lot of anger. Why? Well, it took me a while to even get on the internet and start looking because of words like apostate. They built this record that was in my mind, this lie, and it inhibited me from looking. And I realized that that my friend that I talked to in my last couple of videos, same boat. I was in the same boat, and I would be mad at myself because I did stuff like that. So when I started to wake up, I got on the internet, and I found these guys like Eric at Brian Pickett's, and I thought, oh yeah, this guy really knows his stuff. He got out, and he's going to teach the Bible. And then I go over and Mark Martin, he's another guy. Oh, this guy, he's really close. And then so I go back and forth, and then I'd venture out and I'd go to the Lloyd Evans land once in a while. And I go, oh, that guy's atheist. Oh. But he had some good points. And then I'd get out of there because I was a little bit afraid of that word. Again, these words had records in my mind. And so I would be angry too, and I'd listen to some of this stuff, and there's no way. And I'm sure I even put comments in, angry comments, maybe. My good wife has always been a good coach because she's outside of all this nonsense. Never ever had any of these records put into her, this poison. So she's able to look at all of this. It's like she's in the boat with us, but she has a different set of eyes, and probably out there amongst all you guys, there's lots of good wives, good husbands, and in similar situations. They had nothing to do with this religion, but yet they're involved somehow, some way. So we're all in this boat together, and I know when I was going down the river back and forth with website, and I'd find different ones I'd listen to, and then it took a while to venture. Well, every time I got onto the JW org site, it made me angry for some reason. I don't know what it was. I just felt like I was being lied to again and again. Didn't trust anything. I wasn't awake enough to deal with even looking at those videos. I was making videos, but I couldn't make videos out of their videos. I couldn't debate them or any of that stuff. It would just make me angry. So I made satires. They made me happy. And I did poetry and different things along the journey, along the ride in the river. And so eventually, I would see something like Run Like Hell video from Dan. I love Dan. And he just gets so angry, and he was out in his shop that one day, and Dan doesn't use computers or anything fancy, and he turns his phone over to a whiteboard, and he starts writing on the whiteboard and writing all this stuff. And what he pointed out is it's idol worship. That just blew me away. It was like I'm halfway down here, and Dan taught me that it was idol worship. The governing body. And it's so clear. I stood back. It's so clear. We're the three Hebrews being thrown into the fiery furnace for standing up. We're standing up to the watchtower, to Babylon, the king. And you see, the Jehovah's Witnesses don't realize that. We didn't realize that when we were in there. We're bowing down to the governing body through the elders book, bowing down. And the elders book are the police. They're the enforcers. And they feel good because they fit this category. They're the guys with the spears. Babylon's the king. Remember the picture? The three Hebrews. And everyone's bowing down. All the Jehovah's Witnesses are bowing down to the governing body. Because the governing body tells everyone they are from God. They are of God. They are the steward on earth. They're the John class. They're of the 24 elders. They're special, very special. They're like mini gods on earth. Very, very worshipped in many senses. And now that their faces are all across the internet, it's very evident that these are idol worships. These are idols. These 9 men. So Dan helped me to wake up, and Dan at the end, he said, "Run like hell." And so then that inspired me, and I made 3 videos, and they were my biggest videos. It was just the passion, I guess, and it woke me up another step. And then I started researching mental health, what it's done to us mentally, and the PTSD. Now I recognize that I have moments of narcissism. I have PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome, complex version, because it's really a lot of records in our head. So it's very complex, because you think you're out. Like I thought when I walked out of the door of the Kingdom Hall that I was out, but I wasn't out, because when we live an alternate memory, it's an alternate reality we live. We're not living on Earth. We're walking out the Kingdom Hall, but we're still living this other alternate reality. We might be fighting with people in the Kingdom Hall, but we're still living that reality. We're not out. There's a war going on in our minds. You see, we're not like the rest of the people. Like my good wife, she doesn't have that. She even, we talked a lot about this. She's Catholic, and you don't get any of that. You just kind of learn a bit about Jesus. That's it. That's the modern day Catholic, So that's it. You don't get into any of the JW depth of stuff and paralleling this Old Testament to this to Rutherford. You see, they paralleled Rutherford, another idol, to everything. All in the Revelation book, all those trumpet horns, those 7 trumpet horns. Is there 7? I believe there's 7. It's all Rutherford's assemblies. And they timed the assembly 1,260 days after he got out of prison. Like, the guy's such a narcissist. He planned all this stuff. It's so easy to see. And then today they propagate it. The governing body propagate. They worship him. They worship Rutherford. They worship Russell. They idolize those men. And so therefore the whole flock idolizes everyone. So once we got out of that, Dan helped with that. Then I realized that we've got to be careful. We could be idolizing people online. So I would go from Eric's site to Mark's site to Rick's site to all these different sites, and you have your favorite sites, but we got to be careful. We could idolize people online, and I started to get me thinking that is that a human thing? We want to follow people. So I think it's kind of how we were taught. We were taught that way. We were taught to kind of hop from one boat to another on the river. No one wants to swim in the water alone. unless you want to. Some of us want to. Some of us don't want to be in the boat. We're all going down the river, but some of us hop off, jump in and grab a log and float down the river beside the boat on a log, watching everything. Maybe we paddle a little harder and get ahead of the boat a bit. I don't know. But we're all different, and we all have our own ideas. This is what I began to realize, and it wasn't until Joe and Fran, Joe brought that up, and he says, the moment we all start thinking the same, then we know we're back in a cult. Made so much sense. So bang, you hop out one more layer of this thinking, this mentality that we've been programmed into. So now with that new record in my mind, I know that we're all going to think differently. We're all going to have different ideas. Eric's going to have his ideas. Martin, those guys are very close, very religious people. And then you're going to have others that are going to step right outside of the Bible and look in and say, you know what? There's something wrong with that book, the Bible. And that's where I'm at. I'm starting to look at the religions, the history, the gods, who really is Yahweh. Is Yahweh who he's supposed to be in the Bible, who we were taught, Jehovah. Now I'm finding that Jesus doesn't look like Jesus worshipped the same God. You can see the clues in the Bible, but it's not written clearly. And I see it. I did a video on it, and it's another step outside of everything and saying, wow, if there's a devil, and I don't know, is there? Or if there's different forces out there, and they're struggling for power, that's we call one evil and one good, I guess. Protagonist, antagonist. There is one of those in every story, right? So in this story that we're living, that's the story we're living. There's a protagonist and an antagonist, and we hope that we're the good guy. We hope that. That's what I thought I was doing all those years. I was in the JW cult. That's what it is. Let's call it for what it is, because it was idolizing men. That's why it's a cult. And through a secret elder's book. Anytime you have that kind of stuff, it's a cult. We got to get real with ourselves. So now I'm at the point where it's just having a little bit of fun with it, pulling this stuff apart. And that's a good place to be. I can go onto the sites and have fun with the governing body, because I know that they're trapped inside their minds, perhaps worshiping, still idolizing Rutherford and Russell and some of those guys. And they haven't got out of their own thinking, or they're good con men running a business and really, really doing a good con job. One or the other. And that's what I think. What's next? We're coming to a bend, and something's got to pop. Something's got to pop. What's going on in Australia is just crazy. The Elders book got exposed by the news media. The biggest news media in Australia. 8 million people follow it. And that's where the whole Jesus Center is. They're trying to get that off the ground. But 8 million Australians, and all of us all over the world, a lot of us have seen this article exposing the Elders book. It's out in the public now. So that's the big secret. I think that's, it just doesn't look good, and they don't want to apologize. Other religions are apologizing. So what's next? I'm excited to meet some of you guys in the community online on our channel, on our JW Night Talk, and talk about this Bible. Could the Bible be influenced by the devil? Like, if the devil's the ruler of the world, right? Why couldn't the devil influence the Bible? Now, I'm gonna. This is a point here. Now, we've identified that the Watchtower is idolizing men. It's idol worship. This Bible, I would agree, is influenced by the devil. Because, so you got to look at everything that's inserted in this Bible and follow, why does the devil want that in this Bible or out there? I don't know. I think there's a whole brand new line of study and thought, because Jesus didn't even write anything down. There was no need to. He was a rabbi. He was smart. Could have wrote books, could have wrote volumes of books. In fact, back in the day he lived, in the Roman time, there was a lot of writing going on, a lot of libraries. They weren't writing on stone. They had some good writing methods. But yet Jesus never wrote a word. God came to earth, Jesus' son, God's son, however you want to put it. An emissary of God is on earth. Jesus can do miraculous things. Turns over money tables, feeds people, thousands of people with a few fish and bread. Walks on water, but yet didn't write a thing down. Stood up there and gave all these beautiful parables and lectures. People were drawn to him, just wanted to follow him around. He talked about life just being a way. It was really that simple. Like, what do you need to write down? And he said, all you need to do is love God and love each other. Everyone's your neighbor. Love your neighbor. There's nothing to write down. All you have to do is do it. So, why do we have, if it's that simple, why do we have this book? What's this book all about? Well, I think that's what's next for me, is taking a look at this, stepping outside of this and really looking at it with an open mind. I couldn't do that 6 months ago. I couldn't do that a year ago, ever. But as we work on this, and I think for me, it's just undoing record by record, piece by piece, and all the way through the community. There's no one person that we should or shouldn't follow. It doesn't really matter. But we're all going to be different. We're all going to have different ideas and different ways of doing things. But that's what makes the community good and solid, like a good neighborhood, because it's not a cult. And I was called that here the other day, and it hurt. I just got out of a cult, but they were defending the cult, the JW cult. But you don't want to be called that, and the community is not that. The community is a rehabilitation center. Sometimes when we get right out, we need a scriptural. Maybe we need to follow. We need someone like Eric or Mark Martin to break the scriptures apart. Or I prefer Rick Fearon's channel. I like to go on and watch Wes and Jay, how they break it apart. They each have a different view. Scott, there you go, Scott. Disciples of Yahweh, and J. Hess. Yeah, those two. They break the scriptures apart good. And then I've watched them. and ask them questions. And they always like lots of viewers, you know. So the community is excellent. And I think it's just going to grow. And now we have some of the new ones, like some of these scholarly creators, like MJ and Justin at ExJw Diaries and MJ Context. You know, there's some fabulous artists coming up in the community. And I just see, when we go around the bend, I just see more. I see more people hopping on the boat. I see the boat chaining up, getting larger, the community growing. And with Be Free just happening, and we thought it was just kind of a Washington thing. I was a little surprised. I don't know. We hopped on board right away when they asked us to advertise, but then it was right at the end everyone got on board. But maybe everyone's on board, or maybe the community's changing. I don't know. But everyone hopped on board to Be Free, and then Mexico hopped on board, Rome hopped on board last. It was all kind of last minute. So I don't know if there's an energy in the air. It's different. It's making me wonder what's next. You know, what's going to happen next year? Is there going to be a type of a Be Free? We don't know. We'll see what happens. The energy's out there, and it's moving, and something's happening. So anyways, that's all I had to say today. I kind of went on 20 minutes. But anyways, catch you next time. Bye for now. I gotta go.